Okay, welcome to our fourth series in the behind the scenes panel discussions about homelessness in Denton County. This will be the last one that we will have for this year. Stay tuned for what we're doing next year. This one is volunteering to help our unhoused neighbors. And we have looked at life on the streets. We have looked at lived experience. We have looked at follow the money. All those are recorded and available out on the Coalition Facebook page if you're interested. This one is focusing on volunteering. Liz, can you advance to the next slide? So today, our panelists are Dana Porter, who is a community volunteer with Our Daily Bread. Dana, if you could wave.
Hi.
Dawn Shapley, who is the director of the Next Step Center, which is a ministry of Valley Creek Church. Dawn, did we lose Dawn? Where's Dawn?
I'm here.
Okay. And then Terry Widmer, who's a member of the Denton County Homelessness Leadership Team and chair of the HLT work group. And then me, Mary Jones, I'm a community volunteer, and I am active with the Denton County Homeless Coalition, among other things. So I will briefly introduce the panelists, and then we'll have a chance to hear from each of them in more depth. Liz, can you go to the next slide? So Dana, and I won't read the whole bio to you. As I said, these ladies will introduce themselves in a minute. She's the mother of two grown sons. She's lived in Denton County for a number of years, retired language pathologist, and enjoys serving her community. And you can see she has a lot of experience and a lot of passion for serving the community. And one of the things she does is volunteer at Our Daily Bread, and we will hear more about that today. Okay, next slide. Dawn is, as I said, the director of the Next Step Center, which is a ministry of Valley Creek Church. She actually has a background in information systems from Texas A&M and is working on an MBA focusing on nonprofit management. She's been married to her college sweetheart since 1990, also has three adult children and two Labrador retrievers. And she is very, very active in her community and serves on a lot of local nonprofit boards. Okay. Terry Widmer is a Denton native. She's had a 20-year nursing career. She's an Air Force veteran. She has been involved. When I started putting the bio together, I just couldn't believe all the things that she's been involved in. How could one person do so much? She served on the Our Daily Bread board for 8 years. When she got really interested in mental health and homelessness issues, she helped found the Denton County Behavioral Health Leadership Team, which consists of community members to look at a collaborative behavioral health system to repair and restore lives. She created the housing work group, and that led to the Denton County Homelessness Leadership Team. We're part of the Denton County Homeless Coalition, which is a work group now under that. So Terry has served in many nonprofit boards and is very, very immersed in the community. Next. Then there's me. I retired a couple of years ago after 31 years of teaching in public higher education. And I have been very, very active in community service activities over the last several years, long before I retired, primarily in homelessness prevention initiatives and in initiatives to help women better realize their potential. I've been part of the Denton County Homeless Coalition for several years now, 8 or 9 years now, and done a lot of different things through that group. I'm also part of United Way's Women United group. I'm on the leadership team for that, and that group is designed to help women become even stronger leaders in their community. And when I'm not doing that, I'm hanging out with my little Labradoodle, I'm hiking in local parks, and I have a pasture up in Oklahoma. It's been in the family for 80 years. I'm getting ready to go up there tomorrow. So that's us. So Liz, if you can take down the, if you can stop sharing your screen, we'll come back to ways to get involved as we wrap up. So let's start out with, I'm going to look at my notes here. If each of you on the panel could give just another brief intro of who you are and your primary volunteer activities with homelessness initiatives and how you first got involved. Who wants to start?
I can start, Mary. Uh-oh. You're frozen on my screen. I don't know whether to start or not.
Uh-oh, you can start. I can hear you.
All right. Sorry. Well, Mary, you know as well as I do that if you live long enough, you've done a lot of things. The community back in the 80s. And then once I had ended my nursing career and was hanging around at home, some friends at church involved me in a new adventure that they were doing, that a bunch of churches were doing at our church, and that was called Our Daily Bread, and that was in 2000. I was asked to join that board and then quickly became president of that board. That's how things go in the nonprofit world. There was no executive director. So the clients endeared themselves to me and opened my eyes to a lot of new things and made me laugh and sometimes cry. We also discovered that hunger was not their only need, that housing was a primary need for most of them. And for some, housing is not an easy thing to accomplish. Fast forward, being president, I was able to rewrite the bylaws and put term limits for board members. So I quickly timed out around 2010, quickly after 10 years. I was snapped up pretty quickly then by the United Way on their Citizens Council for Mental Health, which introduced me to the United Way of Denton County. This Citizens Council turned into the Behavioral Health Leadership Team. And as that organization began to unfold, no one had volunteered for the housing work group. And I said I would do it. And they asked me if I would do it. And I said yes. And I'm still doing that today. I'd already seen the connection between mental health and homelessness at Our Daily Bread. And homelessness proved to be such a problem and took up so much time in those meetings and in those discussions that it earned itself its own leadership team. And so I now serve on both of those boards, both of those leadership teams. So over the next roughly 10 years, I did a lot of different roles, but always hung on to the housing work group because that's the closest I get to the people. I'm not involved face-to-face with the homeless population at this point. I'm more in a board type role where I try to affect policy more than actual programming. But I stay involved in that homelessness work group because it keeps me in touch with the people, and I like to be in touch with the people. So I can't really tell you in 5 minutes what all I've learned or what I've encountered and what I've accomplished and what this work means to me. But after over so many years, I can recommend becoming involved in whatever pulls you in, and don't be afraid of it. And if somebody says, hey, will you do this? Say yes, and then decide whether you should have or not.
Okay. All right. Good advice. Yeah. Good advice. Okay. Who's next? Thank you, Terry.
I don't mind jumping in now.
Okay.
Going along what Terry said about just the complexity of the guests that we see at Our Daily Bread and just the unhoused in general, it's what really stirred me to step up and volunteer. I actually have a family member who struggles mightily with mental health issues. And although she has a supportive family, those willing to provide shelter, food, it's just a complex issue. And she found herself for a period of time unhoused. And as a loved one of someone who is struggling, it makes you feel very helpless. It makes you feel just tremendous fear and being unable, because sometimes it is that they don't want to accept that help from family that might be available. That's just a small percentage of those that we find who are unhoused. But it was my personal experience, and that's what propelled me to jump in and figure out what is it that I can do, because by the grace of God, there go I. There's, my brother, my sister, my father, my cousin, my loved one. That's someone's loved one that we see who is struggling with being unhoused. And it's been such a blessing for me. What I do, my and we send boxes of meals to them 2 times a week. And I'm able to help plan those menus based on what available food we have there at the shelter, what's been donated. We're able to think about how many meals could this family put together with a loaf of bread and some lunch meat, and what do we have that is perishable and non-perishable. We have wonderful partners with a variety of grocery stores that donate produce to us, so we're able to put fresh produce in boxes when that's available. And there's always something available. We just never know until we walk in that day, and we get to plan the menu, and we get to think about what is it that these families will need. And the wonderful thing too is that we're able to accommodate special diets for our guests based on what we have available. So we have guests who have diabetes, so they need items that have a lower carbohydrate content. We have a guest who has compromised dental structure, so we have to really think about the items that we're providing in her box. There's families that have young children from 10 months old right now, I think, is our youngest one that we're providing food in there for, and all the way up to a family that has 13, 14, and 15-year-olds. So we think a little bit differently about those boxes based on who those families are. And so it's just really been a privilege to be able to step in and to help families in our community. And again, to me, it's a very personal passion, because again, that's someone's loved one, and it's all of our responsibility, in my opinion, to step up and to serve and to help in whatever capacity we can.
Good.
Thank you. Dawn?
I started out as a children's pastor here at Valley Creek Church back in somewhere around 1997. And in the Flower Mountain bubble, I call it, there was very little awareness that I had of things that were really happening and some of the needs that were in our communities here in Denton County. And from that, I in 2017 moved over into more of what we would call a local missions role, and started working with Salvation Army here in Louisville, and just became aware of some of the the unhoused neighbors that we had and what those needs were. And it almost was the snowball effect of the more I found out, the more got involved and things started happening. And in the position that I'm in, I have access to a lot of people and a lot of resources. And so a lot of the work that we did initially became more project-based work, really supporting the frontline initiatives and the frontline organizations that were out there doing it, like Our Daily Bread. Most recently, we just did a community garden. We built out behind the shelter a couple acre community garden. We did one at Deluxe Inn, and we've done, things like supported the pig count for the last several years. So really helping the organizations that are on the front lines doing what they do, mobilizing. And personally, I do love to just just know the people that we're helping on those front lines. So I personally will go in and help out at things like Operation Christmas down in Dallas. Even with the pit count, getting out there and actually talking with individuals that are experiencing homelessness and finding out their story, and just the humanity part of it is, I get fed way more than what I feel like I pour out in those moments. But again, a lot of our things that we're able to do here really are on the initiatives of project-based, helping with some initiatives, something that the different organizations may need, and then just meeting those needs as the best we can.
Okay, thank you. So when you think back over your experiences, what is the most memorable experience you've had, either good or bad, in doing this work?
I can share first.
Okay.
I had a really profound experience, probably around 2000. I got a call from the gentleman who's the director at Salvation Army in Louisville, and he was taking a busload of our homeless friends down to Dallas for Operation Christmas. And so he needed somebody else to ride on the bus with him down there. And so my husband and I said, yeah, we'd love to. So we met at some ungodly hour, like at 5:30 in the morning. And we all lined up and we got on that bus, and it was cold, and we rode down to Dallas, and we got put into some other lines that were pretty extensive. And I looked over, and there was a donut truck that was there that was handing donuts out, but you couldn't get out of the line that we were in to get over to where the donuts were. And these lines had, if you can envision this, had like 8-foot fencing all around us. Like it was just, you were like, felt like cattle going through. And we got inside, and I was treated in that moment like we were there to receive. And it was so interesting how different the treatment was in that. And just being in the midst of being there almost as expected to receive versus someone who would give, and how different we treat people in those moments. And it really has really stuck with my spirit that we can never treat someone differently, no matter what their station in life is, no matter what their circumstances in life are. We need to treat everybody with the grace that Jesus has given us. Like it's so pivotal that I don't look at someone differently than how I would ever want to be looked at.
Dana?
Yes, I love what Dawn was saying. That's exactly right. It's so powerful to just realize that you felt at that moment that the way that someone who would be unhoused and in need would feel, and how they would be receiving that treatment, and just the dignity that is so deserving of each person is such a powerful reminder. But I'm also a volunteer with the Happy Pet Project. I have a passion for animals as well. And one of my most memorable memories was being called by someone who's employed at our Daily Bread, who was at the shelter. And there was a guest there who was unhoused and had a cat. And if you can just imagine, a cat is not necessarily the type of animal that is very flexible with a lot of other people around and familiarity and so forth. It was just not an environment that was well suited for a cat. And this guest realized that, and just, it broke my heart, because I know a couple of you have mentioned that you're animal lovers. Can you imagine being in a position where you are unhoused and you know that you're not able to provide for that animal? I mean, it's heartbreaking. But furthermore, imagine if that were your child. But in this situation, it was a guest who had a cat, and my friend who was employed there knew that I also am a fanatic about animals, and called me and said, what can you do? And so I drove there and spoke with a guest and just told them, I can't imagine the position you're in and how heartbreaking, and just had a conversation with him and explained what it is that I do. I'm an adoption counselor for the Happy Pet Project. So I interview families to see about appropriate placement for animals. And I explained to him that if he felt comfortable and wanted to, it was his decision, that I would promise him that I would find a loving home for his cat, who happened to be named Cal because it was black and white and had little cow kind of looking patches on it. And I promised him, I said, I guarantee you, I will find a loving home. I promise you. And this sweet gentleman trusted me, handed over his cat to me. I got in the car. I uploaded this cat to our guest pet program on the Happy Pet Project. And within probably 10 days, I found a young lady who was a student at the University of Oklahoma, and she fell in love with him and said, I would love to have this cat. She had 2 other roommates. I interviewed her. I made sure that she was responsible and able to provide the necessary care for this animal going forward. And long story short, she adopted this precious cat who was formerly named Cow and now is a cowboy because that's their mascot at the University of Oklahoma. And this cat is spoiled rotten, absolutely spoiled rotten. And I was able to go back and communicate to the guest that Cow would be forever cared for. And what a, just a selfless act that he had in saying, I know that I can't care for this animal. Could you help me with that? And that just, such a small token, but it's just, it's a layer of seeing them as humans. I mean, these are people who have lives, who have had lives, and who, for whatever reason, find themselves in a circumstance that they can't care for themselves, let alone any other dependent. And that was just very powerful for me.
Thank you. Terry?
Thank you for that, sharing that. All these stories are are very touching and takes a minute to process them. I've got so many that I couldn't single out one, but I thought I would relate that through doing this for so many years, starting out at Our Daily Bread, the first day that we served a hot meal, and we had, I think, 8 clients there to share that meal, to what it is today. I can't even count the number of meals that are served every day through Our Daily Bread's kitchen. And to know that I was a part of that, and all the faces that I've seen go through that, and now sitting where I do and hear the names of people that have been housed. Some of them I recognize, some of them not, but that is gratifying to me that I was a part of that. And our community, we worked very hard to put in a coordinated entry system into our community so that we have a community to take our unhoused folks and see if we can house them. That we've built something in our community that helps so many people. It's not necessary. I don't look at the individuals. I look at the community itself being helped because we help that small community of our unhoused folks. So that's what I would say. The negative, I try to forget the negative, but I guess it does turn into a positive when I hear people talking about people that are unhoused, and they'll say things that are not kind, and I get to educate them whether they want me to or not about what kind, that there are people too, and they have rights and they have feelings, and they need our help. They took a misstep maybe, or for whatever reason, they're not as fortunate as I am, so they need my help.
Right.
So what would you tell people who want to get involved, but they're not sure how? I think a lot of people think, oh yeah, that'd be great, but I don't know how.
Well, in this information age, I think the easiest way to get involved, and I checked this out to make sure I was telling the truth, you can go to Our Daily Bread's website. They've got a great volunteer. I know we instituted it a long time ago, so it's tried and true, placing people in volunteer, and there's so many opportunities there. United Way also has opportunities, and not only that, but all of their partners that they have, you can click on those links and take yourself to that individual agency and see what volunteer opportunities they have, and you won't regret it.
Right. And I'll piggyback onto what Terry was saying, because I know in particular our Daily Bread's website not only has opportunities to plug in and volunteer, but it also has a page that talks about specific needs, and that can vary by season. So for now, we need coats, we need cold weather items, gloves, and so forth. And so I would say if you are involved in a Bible study or a bunco group or whatever it might be, to say, hey, let's gather up whatever items that are listed on, in particular, our website, but I'm sure other websites have that as well. And how can we help? Let's go and let's deliver them. And just to feel that you are playing a small role, but a very powerful role in keeping someone fed or warm or clothed. Don't let not knowing what to do keep you from just jumping in, because as Terry said, in this information age, there's ways to get plugged in, whether or not you're physically there interacting with the unhoused or with those programs that are in place. You can still gather within your community, your groups that you're involved with, whether it be a church or a neighborhood community organization, and contribute to those needs.
And I totally agree everything that Terry and Dana said. I think in addition to that, there's an opportunity for to really self-identify. Are you comfortable in more of an institutional serving, or could you do more of an independent serving? So with that, I mean, it may be something where you really would be comfortable working in a clothing closet. You know, our Daily Bread has one. There's Love Thy Neighbor. There's different ones in the county. But really to find out, you know, what is the thing for, you know, the issue and the topic to help serve those that are experiencing homelessness. Could it be food? It could be furniture. Once they get into permanent housing, they may have a need for, they do typically have needs for beds and dressers and things. Or is it on the clothing side? Is it, you know, there's different aspects. I mean, it's just every aspect of humanity. Think of you when you walk in your own home, all the different parts of it that you experience. And then really identify that, you know, I so recommend that people go identify an organization that you want to get connected with. Our Daily Bread is a fantastic organization. There's also other ones like Giving Grace that work predominantly with families experiencing homelessness, and they have got a new street outreach van. So I think it's just really locating where your own talents, time, and treasure are to understand, do I want to be face-to-face with someone, or am I more comfortable working a soup kitchen line or working in a clothing closet? And then once you identify that, go find an organization to get plugged in with. We have plenty in our county.
It's a good point, Dawn, that if you don't feel comfortable working face to face with someone, there's a lot of other need that you can fill. Okay. We have some folks who have joined us. Do we have any questions from them or any comments from them? Leah, you're muted.
Yeah, I know. Gosh, I'm really bad at that. Just wanted to hop on to say that you guys are awesome and thank you for all that you do.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
So what would be one other thing that you would like for people to know about volunteering for these kinds of activities?
I'll jump in there and just say that it is the most fulfilling thing that I do in my week. So the 2 days that I spend at our Daily Bread are the most fulfilling. I leave really feeling like I've received far more than I've given in those hours. The fellowship between other regular volunteers and being able personally to work alongside the Ready to Work program that is there. So some of our guests are enrolled in that Ready to Work program, and where I am in the back, I'm able to work shoulder to shoulder with those guests and just see how they're really working to improve their lives and to gain skills to get back into the workforce. It's just, I leave feeling like I've returned from a vacation. It's great. I'm on a high when I get home every time. So absolutely.
I'll jump in. Dana, I totally agree with that. There's a scripture that says, he who refreshes others will himself be refreshed. It is so true. There's no time that I've ever served that I leave thinking, gosh, I wish I hadn't done that. There really is an awesomeness to it. There's also busy seasons, and there's times when I haven't been able to go serve, but I have been able to give. And so I would say, as part of serving, it's not just the time that you can give it, if there's a busy season, but certainly you can give of your treasure. And so I know the Barriers Fund is a fantastic place to give, to help really everybody across different organizations that might be needing some incremental funds. It's really the fund of last resort. But I just, again, self-evaluate. If you have time to go serve, you're going to really be blessed by it. If you don't have time to serve, great. Maybe you can give financially, or you can even give of your other items like clothing and food and some of the other resources that you have.
Yeah, I think what drives me along these lines is I was reading some about Melinda Gates, and of course she talks globally and we're more local, but she talks about how the world gets paralyzed by problems, and she's got a quote that she gives, and I won't read it all to you, I'll condense it, but there's some people in the world that you can't help, but there's so many more that you can. Don't look away, look right at them and let them break your heart and make a difference in the lives of others. And that let them break your heart is, I think where a lot of people put up a wall and I can't do that, but you can do more good if you just go ahead and look at them and let them break your heart and jump in and do something about it. You will, as she says, you will feel better when you leave. You won't feel bad if you do that.
Right.
It'll feel better to let them break your heart than to not.
Yeah. That's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
And if you can, if you, like they say, if you can't volunteer a lot, you can't volunteer in the busy season. They always need volunteers in the not busy season. Maybe it's a couple of times a week you can volunteer, or maybe it's a couple of times a year. It'll make a difference in their lives, and it will make a difference in yours too.
Okay. All right. Liz, can you put up that last slide that if you can share your screen? We've heard today some different opportunities to be involved. We've heard about the pit count. We've certainly heard about our daily bread. Dawn mentioned the Barriers Fund, and we will get this list out to you on email as well. And this will be in the recorded, it's being recorded too. But if you're interested in volunteering, if you want to learn more, if you want to provide financial support, these are organizations that are represented here today, as well as others that are serving people experiencing homelessness in Denton County. And of course, Our Daily Bread, there's Christian Community Action down in Louisville. There's the Denton County Homeless Coalition. And you can Google any of these and it will take you to their site. Our Denton County Homelessness Leadership Team, Friends of the Family, which is looking to support people experiencing domestic violence. There's Giving Grace that we've mentioned that primarily support people experiencing homelessness. There's Metro Relief down in the southern part of the county and in Dallas. Salvation Army Denton, Salvation Army Louisville. And then there's the homeless initiatives that the United Way of Denton County have. If you go out to the United Way of Denton County's website and search homelessness initiatives, you'll find so many things. Specifically, and Dawn, thank you for queuing this up for us. The Homeless Coalition has something called a Barriers Fund, and there's the tiny URL, and it is designed to break through obstacles that people have to obtain housing. So many obstacles that we just don't think about. If you've been evicted ever, that's an obstacle, no matter where you are today. If you've been incarcerated ever, that's an obstacle to getting a lease, no matter where you are today. You need ID. You need all kinds of things we just don't even think about, we take for granted. And there's not funding available. Funding is generally earmarked to support a lot of these things. So the Barriers Fund was created several years ago to help with that. And if you're interested in supporting financially, that's a great way to do it. And Dawn also mentioned the point in time count, the PIT count, and that is very timely because it is coming up. It is the point in time count, and it is an annual survey of people experiencing homelessness. All agencies, all nonprofits that receive money from HUD, from the government, are required to do this, which is most agencies. And you can volunteer to go out. It'll be one day. I think it's the third Thursday. Alina's on here. I think it's the third Thursday or the fourth Thursday of January. I think it's January 24th. And it's all day long. You can sign up for a couple-hour shift. You go out with people, and there's specific questions that you're given to ask. You're given training, and you can go out and talk to these people and get information about them that feeds back into the system that helps our community gather more resources. Also, they have in the PIT count, they give out incentive bags to the people that you survey that have hygiene items, first aid kits, socks, that sort of thing. They need donations for that. There's also a time where you come in and pack all those things. They need that. So there's a lot going on in the next couple of months with that. If you're interested, again, you can go to the Google the Denton County Homeless Coalition. You'll find that. Alina says it's the fourth Thursday of January this year, 1/25/24. Okay, volunteers sign up, links coming soon. But you can go out and you can look at that site and see what that's about. So some specific things around this time of year that you can be involved in.
My thing's up. Hey, Dr. Jones, would you like if I spoke to PIT count a little bit more?
When I what?
Would you like if I spoke a little bit more about PIT count just to kind of add on?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, again, this is a fantastic opportunity to get to know your community, to sit down and have conversations. Not only does this inform what we do as a community in response, but it also is the primary driver of federal funding. And it's a really great opportunity where sometimes people who aren't necessarily ready to connect to services, they might not be coming into Christian Community Action or Our Daily Bread yet. They might not be ready for that. They might be ready to sit down and have a conversation with us, receive some donations during the coldest time of the year when they need them most. So this is a huge event. It's super important, and I don't think anyone has ever regretted. I might be going a bit farther, but I think it's a really fantastic opportunity, and I think that you won't regret it if you volunteer this year. So, as Alina said, sign up link coming soon.
All right, thank you, Leah. Okay, I think we're going to wrap up a little early today. Does anybody have anything else they want to add? I'm going to thank
I would just add that we've pointed out places that you can go to find out where the opportunities are. Pick one of those opportunities and take a friend with you. And if you don't have a friend, you'll have one after you get there.
Amen. That's true.
And, you know, I got involved while I was still working. I was chair of an academic department at UNT, working 50 to 60 hours a week in that job. And I got involved while I was still doing that. And I kind of just needed something else to do. And so sometimes you just have to carve out the time. And as these ladies have said today, I don't think you will regret it. And if you do get into a volunteer activity and you think, I don't like this, well, you're not being paid, walk away. You know, it's not a lifetime commitment.
But find another area. There's so many areas.
Yeah, you find something else.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for participating today, Dawn and Dana and Terry. And we will, this will be posted on the Homeless Coalition Facebook page, and I think it will be on the United Way page as well. And we'll be sending out email with the links and so forth. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Liz, for managing behind the scenes for us today.
Thank you.
And stay tuned. We will we're talking through how the behind the scenes panels for next year. We're talking about having at least one in person. So we'll stay tuned, and we'll let you all know about that as the time draws near. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thanks for letting us share.
Thank you.
Okay, Liz, thank you. And you all, can you go ahead and turn off the recording?
So is it, let's see, go to more. Yeah. Yeah.